Welcome to the first technical talk from SELISE. I am Rezwan Rafiq, VP Engineering, and I have with me today Kawsar Ahmed, who's working in Mobility and Logistics as a Head of Engineering. So hi Kawsar.
Hi Rezwan bhai.
Hi. So to start with, let's have the introduction from Kawsar. So Kawsar, if you can tell us something about yourself.
Okay, I'm Kawsar Ahmed. I work here as a Head of Technology in Mobility and Logistics unit. I joined in SELISE back in 2016 as a junior software engineer, and I'm working here until now. So that's all about me.
Right. So you joined here at 2017. 16
February.
Okay. So it's been like 7 years that you are working.
Yeah, over
at
7
SELISE.
years.
Okay. So what are the technical stack you have used in your business unit to deliver the customer project? If you can tell us.
We have multiple technology here. Initially, when we started, we heavily used .NET and Angular based project, but now we have React, Flutter, and also we have Java solution.
Okay. And how many developers are working in your unit?
I would say 55 plus.
Okay.
And total units member is almost 75 plus.
With the product managers,
Yeah,
product acceptance analyst, with
yeah,
everyone.
yeah.
Okay.
Business analyst.
That's a pretty big
product
number.
Yeah.
So let's talk something about like when because this episode is actually about the technical talks.
Okay.
So let's talk something about technical. I mean, you already using the product blocks. I mean,
SELISE
as we all
Blocks,
know,
yes.
SELISE Blocks. Yeah.
Yes.
So let's talk about blocks first. So, I mean, what are the microservices that you are consuming from blocks at this moment?
We are mainly we heavily use the blocks microservice, our identity storage, mail service, bunch of other service.
Okay. So when you write a service, for example, when you create a business service for any of the customer project, how do you like distinguish from the core block service to your business service? I mean, what are the naming convention that you are following?
Okay, we have some convention here, right? Different layer, L0, L1, L2, L3, right? Since we mainly work on our client project, it is we solve client's problem. So the service is mainly L3, layer 3. It consumes others microservice, that is L2.
L2
Yes.
and L1, of
Yeah.
course. And L0 is basically the
Library,
framework.
the framework, library,
NPM nuggets.
NPM nuggets, yes.
All right. So, I mean, did you ever feel any necessity to write some L2, L1? L0, you probably don't have to write because those are already in the package that you can avail in your applications, whether you write a business-specific microservice or whether you write like any technical domain-based microservices. But for because your business unit probably has a specialty, right?
Yeah,
Because
we
it's
mainly work on manufacturing and engineering
manufacturing,
sector.
engineering, supply chain.
Yes.
So, I mean, did you ever thought of writing any L2, L1 microservices just specific to that business domain?
Yeah, we had to write mail sync service once, and also the payment service we initially developed as our business service, but later we refactor and contributed it to the blocks. So now it is maintained by blocks.
So it's now maintained by blocks.
Yes, so it is kind of now L2 service, since as a consumer we use that service.
Okay. So whenever you have to write one L1 or L2, you write it, then customize it.
Yeah.
Probably then you speak to blocks to make that service as
Exactly.
a generic. If the other business service are in need of that service, then blocks
Yeah.
can keep that, can work as a keeper.
At least two business domain, if they can use that service, that should be generic service, right?
Right.
Then we consider and talk to the blocks team. Then we also contribute and they also contribute. Then
Right.
it is maintained by blocks team.
Right. So far, the way we were working, that whenever a service is written by any business unit, which can be considered as generic, then block was kind of become the keeper after
Yeah.
that service goes to the production.
That means it kind of internal open sourcing.
Internal open sourcing,
Yes.
exactly. So then most of the time, if other people were requesting any addition of the new feature or any extension of the same feature, then the blocks team were actually writing that code.
Yes, even
For
we can
you,
contribute also
and
there.
you can contribute.
And
also.
also after
That's the thing that I was going to ask, because I know that as I am like actively involved with blogs, so I already know that we get requests from the many people to like have a feature extension or request for a new feature. But you also know that we are going open source very soon.
yeah.
So I mean, what do you think that when we are going to open source, that what kind of challenges like you may have or blogs might have?
Open sourcing is very good thing, I would say, because we will get some contributor from outside. But sometimes when we write or develop the service, it is very user specific or business specific, right? But when we will open source it, we will face some challenge how to use that thing and the coverage thing and also code quality. Definitely.
Of course, you have to make sure that's like properly sanitized.
Exactly.
So that no one actually can point out any errors.
Yes.
Yeah, that's something. But it's also good. Like if you get the feedback, then you also can make the quality better. Then you can actually listen the external people's voice.
Yeah.
Do you think that open sourcing blocks will benefit, like in terms of? Okay, let's talk about recruitment first. Then let's see whether we can use these open source tools to have like. In conjunction with the recruitment process to make it like utilized for recruitment as well. What is the recruitment process in your unit? For example, that we know that we have a HR, so HR may bring CV to you, and we had that talent program. So and you were involved with the recruitment a lot.
Yeah,
know about that. So I mean, now how are you running the recruitment program, or what you basically want to see when a developer apply to join in SELISE?
Actually, when we hire a new engineer, definitely we want he should be a good problem solver and good communicator. Also, he can maintain our team culture. This is our first priority.
Right.
Definitely, since the new recruit is engineer, if I say about the engineering thing,
a
developer, yes. So definitely he has to be good at programming also.
Of course.
So pretty much every recruitment panel has 2 phase or 3 phase, depends on
3 stages of interview.
Exactly. It depends on the seniority and junior position.
Okay.
So one coding round and 1 interview, then final HR interview.
Right. And so I mean, when you take the assessment, then what are the assessment normally that you provide? For example, like algorithms, a project to solve that, probably in Angular or React or .NET, or if I say Ruby or Node.
Okay, it depends on position. If we hire fresher, right, they don't know much about the development thing, right? So we try to give them the algorithmic problem. Okay, so we just consider whether they can solve certain algorithmic problem and they have basic knowledge about the language. And if they're promising, definitely we hire them and we try to train at least 1 to 2 months. It's huge time because it is our investment. SELISE, we do it a lot. Even myself, I joined as
I was more like thinking that if we even do the blocks open sourcing part. So I mean, during the interview process, we always can see that this is some kind of framework which is openly available as open source. So you can have a read on that. Then we will give you the problem based on the knowledge that we have shared or based on the framework that we have shared. Do you think that it could be an idea?
Yes, it would be great. Because
so also then it can work like in 2 ways. So in one way, they already know blocks.
Yes.
So even though they say, for example, after joining, if they don't want to continue in SELISE, they also can use the same framework.
Yes.
In another sense, if they go into deep to the documentation, they also can do contribution.
Exactly.
Which we can.
And it can be an open book exam. That would be definitely very good thing.
So you see the documentation, then you solve something based on that open sourcing.
Yes.
Okay, fine. What about the say the innovation that you are thinking of, like, to bring, say, for example, in the next year or in the short future?
Okay, very good question. Since we are a business unit, heavily client focused, right?
Of course, yeah.
So we don't have any in-house project because we mainly serve our client.
Right.
So currently we have IoT solution, logistics solution, auditing platform, but I feel we have missing the machine learning and artificial intelligence.
Okay.
We don't have that kind of project, but maybe we will introduce it next year because currently large language model.
So is there there is no specific need from the customer?
Yes,
to
that's
do
why
something with the machine learning. That's why you're still missing the machine learning in your business unit. Okay. What about because you are the supply chain logistic, say the project that you're looking after in your unit. What about the blockchain?
Yes, we have blockchain already introduced in our one project.
Okay.
So currently it is.
So there are already some projects which is having blockchain
heavily used.
Great.
They are using.
Okay. And how do you maintain the quality? Are you aligned with the Blocks strategy regarding the quality, regarding the standards? So how I mean, if you can explain what are the benefit you are getting from the Blocks, or how you are using it, or I mean, what is the current process?
Okay. In SELISE, we have a certain set of rules, certain standard, right? Minimal standard we have to maintain. We try to maintain that thing because we have already Sonar Cube included in our pipeline. So right now we need certain coverage and code quality, of course.
Right.
Because when some developer push their code, Sonar Cube analyze it and he can see whether
how much unit test he needs to do and how much unit test he has done.
Yes, exactly.
Like security hotspot.
Exactly. So
then how many lines of duplication.
Exactly.
So I think that, I mean, before we incorporated the Sonar Cube, because there were no visibility of the quality of the code initially. So, but that's a good thing that now we are doing it. So, I mean, is it becoming challenging for you, for example, to write the new code? That's understandable that when you do a commit, you always can go to the Sonar Cube dashboard, can see your stats. Even before going to the Sonar Cube, you also can see the stats in the Sonar Lint before even you push the code. But what about the previous code base? Because of course, I mean, all the code bases are not like 100% compliant with the Sonar Cube. So you must have some, say, technical depth.
Yeah.
So how are you resolving that?
We are refactoring a lot recently, since although it is flexible now, but we have planned we will high our bar so that old code base also go through that Sonar Cube security check and all check.
Okay. So, I mean, did you have a solid plan for that, or is it like project specific that you're looking at gaps? Or?
Yeah, we have planned because we are heavily user of the blocks, So what blocks impose all over the SELISE, we try to adapt it fast. So overall, since blocks teams are imposing different rules, we're trying to adapt it. And also when we get time, we refactor our code.
Right.
And one by one,
another update you probably already know, or I'm not sure whether you know, because when we are saying that we will open source the blocks, code base and everything, then probably we will just have a committee in blocks to see the code and everything. So for example, if you require to say as a business unit, you or any other business unit, if they require to have any feature, say need to have extension of any feature or like any additional feature or any microservice, then we are like highly encouraging to do that by themselves rather than the blocks team do that. So blocks will then primarily focus on the standard side of thing and the DevSecOps kind of thing.
Yes.
So just to
very aware of that thing.
Informative. So recently, I know that I was kind of involved with one of the customer project, because the situation was that project we have started probably 5 or 6 years before, and there were like many legacy code, so which is not supported anymore. But the developers were still writing code on the same services. Then we have agreed to break it down to the business domain
Yes.
and write like multiple microservices from that business domain. How is that thing going?
Exactly. When we started, it was a microservice, but after some time, it get bigger and bigger. Right now, it is a very weak monolithic app.
Right.
So, and also it has a lot of legacy code. But we are now we are keeping it that way, but we are now breaking it and separating all service as a microservice.
So, for example, that when you say that you are actually keeping it at the same time and breaking it another side, that means that whenever a new requirement comes, you're going to write that in the new service.
Exactly.
So you're not touching that, but you have to keep that service alive until you understand that all the APIs or all the code blocks are safely migrated
Exactly.
via dev stage and production.
Because
environment
that
to
is
environment.
super stable.
Right.
But we don't want to unstable this
Right.
thing.
So that's why you have chosen not to touch that service, but
Exactly.
instead you have started to break it down separately.
Even it has advantage. Suppose in new service something is broken, we can easily roll back to
Right.
that service, right?
Right. Okay.
And also we recently got support from the blocks, the zero downtime thing. Now we don't have to wait for the restart or
The restart time. That's another legacy thing of blocks that, I mean, when the blocks is created, then we try to use the caching mechanism highly.
Yes.
But then the problem arrived that there are some data always cached in the microservices. So to take something into the production, we have to restart the service. We are doing something about it, but I mean, also the zero time downtime is required, because of course that 1 second delay can be problematic in terms of losing the data to the customer. So
Yes.
I think that's like only one of the project we have implemented the zero downtime.
Yes.
So now we're just waiting to roll that out like as a globally. That's something
Exactly.
will be coming very soon. Okay. About the machine learning, because I mean, you said that that could be the future, like for the next year things. So what are the ideas you might have on the machine learning? Because in blocks, we also don't have that much exposure on the machine learning yet, because as I said, that will primarily depend on like the requirement. For example, if the requirement arises from a business unit or the requirement arises from a customer, then of course we will focus on the machine learning. But you also have used or incorporated the blocks configurator application to some of your application already, or what is the status on that? Because you know the language manager of blocks configurator.
One project we already taken that service from
So
blocks.
did you see that? How is that working?
It's
Because
working
that
fine.
also
It's
a
very
machine learning thing. So it
Yeah.
do the automatic translation. So
Yes.
with multiple way.
We already started to use that service, and it is good.
And the
I would
email
say.
template change.
Yes.
So yeah, from the blocks, the configurator app primarily contain the language manager, email template changer. So the next is like you can see all the logs,
Yeah.
the application logs in that application, because of course like that's like restricted, not available to the public. So the person who has the consent from your customer to use that configurator application will be able to see the logs as well. So that's something. What are your plan in terms
Our
of machine
plan
learning?
is we have some old customer. They have a lot of data now.
Okay.
We can introduce some kind of analytics or anomaly detection or other thing.
So classification,
Classification,
like
yes.
anomaly detection,
Yes.
classification type.
Yes, prediction type thing. So basic ML, maybe we will be able to incorporate next year.
Okay.
Already we have IoT solution, and we need some kind of intelligence there. We already know that thing.
So I mean, that's not basically give any suggestion based on data or like carry on some certain action based on those data,
Mainly-
or just say detect, I mean classify some kind of information or provide a bit of regressive decision, or what is that actually?
Classification is one of the thing. Maybe we will need it very soon. We can also incorporate some regression problem, where we can predict some data.
Predict some data for the future. That what
yes,
might be
future
the
from
situation.
based on the past. So we have such data in our some clients, so we will be able to introduce some service, but they don't need right now because they don't think this is not their problem right now.
Okay. All right. So again, when you write any code base or any service, say for example, a repository, then what are the architecture that you follow?
Mainly, the modern architecture mainly is cloud native, right?
Right.
So you want very light service, and when you introduce microservice, maybe
So
clean
you're not
architecture.
like a fan of that entire architecture or onion architecture or clean architecture.
Exactly, you don't need it in every project.
Because
I
of
would
course,
say.
if it's a
It-
microservice, then
yes.
you will write it as a microservice
Yes.
rather than thinking that I'm
Yes.
writing a microservice
Service.
like
And-
how the people write the monolithic.
Yeah.
So that they also have to think like the code base will be very large.
Exactly,
Okay.
but it depends on the architecture and also architect how he wants to implement it.
In your unit.
Yes.
Okay. What about the security measures that you may take, like when you deliver a product to a customer? I mean, is that something that you do? I mean, or is like you get something by default from the blocks or?
Oh yes, we get something from blocks also. And also we consider from our side.
Like the row level security.
Row level security and other stuff.
Okay.
So it is some of thing we implement ourselves and some we get
Like
from
inherited from
yes from blocks.
blocks. Okay.
And that's why we can rapid develop any solution
Like very fast.
Very fast, yes,
Because
we inherit a lot of things from blocks.
right. Okay. So I mean, that's great. That's great to speak to you. Thank you very much
Thanks for having me
for
today.
joining. Yeah, you're welcome. All right. So I mean, we hope to meet again very soon. Thank you.
Thanks everyone.